going on, guys? Dom here, and it seems that Nintendo is not doing so hot as of late. We thought that E3 was going to be the big thing that was supposed to give them a huge boost, and these games were going to be amazing, and they are going to be amazing, but there's some stuff that happened around it that wasn't so cool, and we're going to go over that. And PokeJungle wrote an amazing article, guys. Please check this site out. Head over to his Discord, give him some love. This guy's great. He's awesome at writing these Pokemon articles. It's very concise and awesome information. Let's get right into it. So when Pokemon Home was announced, it seemed like a great service that would let players send and deposit Pokemon to the upcoming games Sword and Shield, of course. What was initially apparent was that the service wouldn't let players bring any of their Pokemon from past games if that species weren't found in the pair of upcoming Nintendo Switch titles. Now, this is 100% fact. It's such a weird thing because you think that the last services they had, even have Pokemon Bank up here on this graphic, and Pokemon Bank did just that. Is like that. This is what we were expecting, and to get this news that I'm about to read to you guys, it was not so cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. Many fans have expressed deep concerns and frustration about this issue on social media after it was announced during Nintendo's E3 with Junichi Matsuda. Some hoped that it would be a mistranslation. It wasn't, or that support for all existing Pokemon would be added at some point in the future. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Game Freak has intentions of loosening restrictions for bringing Pokemon to Sword and Shield. In an interview with US Gamer, Matsuda states, "Oh my god, PokeJungle is so savage." This guy's like, look, if you guys want to know who to direct your attention, hate, or love at, here's this picture right here. He's just, oh, that's funny. There are a couple of different parts to the thinking behind it, but really the biggest reason for it is just the sheer number of Pokemon. We already have well over 800 Pokemon species, and there's going to be more added in these games. And now that they're on the Nintendo Switch, we're creating it with much higher fidelity, with higher quality animations. But even more than that, it comes down to the battle system. We're making sure we can keep everything balanced and give all the Pokemon that appear in the games a chance to shine. Okay, so let's just break that down. So balancing, let's be honest here, that's something I've never thought I would hear Game Freak say as far as like balancing, because they literally make things that are just outrageously broken in Pokemon on a regular basis. I mean, Mega Blaziken was just running amok. If they cared about balancing in the past, we wouldn't have certain things just completely obliterating metagames. But they fix it in between games. So then, like, I guess Mega Gengar is a really good example of his ability being changed. But this is a huge step off from what they used to be doing. It's such a strange thing that they would limit it, but I guess if you're trying to talk about how many animations, because it seems like this is talking about the animations more specifically, about the sheer volume of it. I believe someone had it on somewhere on Twitter where it was like 5 or 6 animations per Pokemon. You have like its overworld sprite, you would have its attacking animation, its idle sprite, and its idle sprite where it's moving, and then its taking damage sprite or animation. So that's 5 right there. I'm probably missing a few. So that's 5. You try to multiply that by the 800. That's just a lot of animations to shove into one game. So I never made a game before, guys. Obviously, I don't know what goes into all of that. So it has to be something strenuous for the highest grossing media franchise of all time to think that this sheer volume of animations would be too much. So we have to take that into consideration. From a consumer standpoint, we're not a fan of not having all of our Pokemon come over to the new games. I'm going to be honest here while we're on that subject. There's some Pokemon that none of you guys care about. The people who are making the memes and putting a lot of hate into it and saying, and I'm not defending what they're doing by any stretch of any means or standard or logic, but how many of you guys really care about Dunsparce? How many of you guys really care about Zigzagoon and Linoon outside of like its ability or something like that? How many of you guys really, like, if he's talking about balancing, how many of you guys really care about certain Pokemon actually being useful? How many of you care about cast form? You may think some of these Pokemon are cool, but let's be honest, all 807 or whatever number we're at now, you guys don't care about them. You really care about, it's only because it's a blanket statement. If you sat here and broke it down, and said how many Pokemon you actually cared about, it probably would be less than the 151 number. It'd probably be somewhere around, like, realistically, you care about 50, and you try to make some nonsense argument about the other ones here or there. Most of your arguments would be for the starter Pokemon, because they're the most well-known, Pikachu and Eevee, etc. But let's move on. We knew at some point we weren't going to be able to definitely keep supporting all the Pokemon. We just found that Sword and Shield would probably be a good point to go back and reevaluate what would be the best selection of Pokemon that appeal to the widest audience while keeping into consideration the balance of the battle system. It isn't just going to be all new Pokemon in the Galar region PokeDex. There's still going to be a lot of favorites that fans will be able to bring over that they've adventured with previously. But yeah, it's pretty much just balancing and getting this optimal selection of Pokemon for the adventure we wanted to provide. This may be frustrating news for fans to read, but there are legitimate issues with preparing so many Pokemon models for each game's release. Hopefully Game Freak can find a way, balance their workload, and also satisfy fans. You guys should definitely check out the Discord. They're really awesome people. They're super cool. PokeJungle is always open to you sharing your opinion on there. Just an awesome environment to be in, honestly. I frequent there a lot, if you guys didn't know. And while we're at it, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a little bit of love down there. Hopefully that worked. Oh, 14, yeah, it went up. Awesome, lovely sight. But back onto the topic at hand. It's a super strange thing, but it had to happen at one point. I mean, let's just say the 5 animations that I listed times, let's go with 800. So if my math, I've been out of school for a while, but we're looking at what, 40,000 animations each, maybe more. That is a lot to put into one game, and then include the overworld sprites and everything and the moving stuff. That is a lot. But back to what I was saying earlier about the Pokemon balancing, you can't be, I've seen it to where on Twitter people have been bashing it and then accepting it in some ways. You can't be both. You can't say that I'm sick and tired of Landorus running the metagame in Smogon OU or whatever, but then you get mad at them limiting the Pokemon. It's like, I saw this one person saying, as long as they, like, I don't care what they do, if we can just get a game and remove Landorus from it, I'd be fine with them limiting all the Pokemon or Pokemon Sword and Shield. That is biased. That is a completely biased standpoint, and that is unfair. That's just you being upset at this Pokemon that's being dominant in a particular format of the Pokemon metagame. Because it's an all-around. Its stats are amazing. Its ability is amazing. It covers so many things. And realistically, on the topic of Landorus, if you were to remove Landorus T, you would take 2 or 3 Pokemon to fill the slot that he actually fills, because he's such a good Pokemon. So I've seen these tweets, other tweets saying that, well, we can't be Pokemon Masters anymore. Well, you can't catch them all anymore. And to that I say, first off, they've dropped the Pokemon Gotta Catch 'em All tagline years ago. So that argument is almost null and void. And let me just say this before you say, Dom, you sound like you're defending them. I'm on the side that really wants all the Pokemon, but also I have to be on the side that's using my logic to say that this is a company, and if they believe this is right for what they're heading for and what they want for money, and stop looking at it as like I'm just this huge ginormous Pokemon fan, which I am. I have to take a step back, and because the screen that I'm looking at through, the lens is this big, you have to take a step back and make the lens about that big to see the bigger picture of it all. It's just, it may be too much for them. And the fans are not helping. I understand the petitions. You want this to happen, but the high-grossing media franchise of all time, does it really need your help? I mean, they're gonna make the money regardless. They have they have their hands in so many different things. They have movies, Pokemon apps and such. I know it sounds like, well, you're not agreeing with me. Trust me, I want all the Pokemon, but from what the argument they're giving is so compelling, and it makes so much sense from a corporate standpoint that I can't give in another argument that's better than that without saying it's because I want it. And the whole, like, we can't be Pokemon Masters anymore, we can't catch them all anymore. It's like they dropped a tagline, like I said years ago, like before Gen 2, or yeah, they dropped the whole gotta catch them all, because realistically I think Ash caught less than like 15 Pokemon anyways from the anime, and that was before the anime. The Pokemon games weren't necessarily like selling that. They were to a degree with the PokeDex, but they dropped the tagline a long time ago. We can't be Pokemon Masters. To be honest, they have never defined what being a Pokemon Master is. Never once. That's why people have made so many videos. You can probably find it on YouTube somewhere. People are saying, what is a Pokemon Master? Ash has seemed to be defining it recently as, well, not recently, but over the years, as becoming the champion or beating the Pokemon League, which you can do in every game at this point. So it's kind of like, what is your argument here? You want all the Pokemon, cool. You want them because you love Pokemon. But the company's saying that it may not be realistic because of the limitations or the things that they're trying to head for. So where do we as Pokemon fans go from here? Do you not buy the game? Do you protest the game? You make a petition to try to get them to change the game? Will they listen to us? We really don't know. But there's just so much hate going on for it. I'm not sure exactly where to place it. It's way too much. The memes are just, they're funny for sure, but some of them, the comments are like the whole Landorus thing. It's like, I'm fine with it as long as Landorus is left out. Come on, be real. Like I'm fine with it if you leave out this specific Pokemon. I want all the Pokemon, but you only use about less than 20% of the Pokemon. You may catch them, which is cool, which is part of the whole collecting thing. But realistically, if we're talking about the balancing aspect and the competitive battling, how many of them do you really use? Do you really care for every single Pokemon? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments for this, but it's like, you got to look at it from a different viewpoint. It's not yours. You got to look at it from like outside of the fan standpoint, outside of the consumer standpoint. Try to look at it from someone who's making something, who's in charge of the highest grossing media franchise of all time, and just put yourself in their shoes and think about what would I do. And honestly, there is the whole balancing thing. It sounds kind of funny to me. We want to balance the game, but you give us giant Pokemon that are trying to crush each other that pretty much will one-shot anything. I mean, come on. There's some like hypocrisy going on their side as well. Like balancing all the Pokemon. I think balancing them, which is why they made the whole Dynamax thing, which is like every Pokemon can do it apparently, and that's what they're trying to do. And it seems like they're moving away from pandering, but they're not, because it says they're trying to give every Pokemon shine, but they're going to bring back the fan favorites. Charizard's already guaranteed. Mewtwo's guaranteed. Those two Pokemon already have 2 separate Mega Evolutions of their own. There's going to be some pandering. So they're being hypocrites. Some of us, not all of us, some of us as fans are being hypocrites as well. And we're being unfair to some degree. And I think we're just entitled at this point. We're entitled to everything. We want every Pokemon. We want every region in one game. We want everything, and they're just not going to give us that. I think we have to come to terms with that. And I guess the best you can do is just not buy the game and just stop following the Pokemon franchise if that's how some fans want to play it. Me personally, I'm going to buy the game. Regardless, I'm going to do competitive battling. I'm definitely going to do it on this channel. So I don't really know what to tell you, honestly. It's a weird sense of like, just, it was euphoria when we got the new Pokemon and seeing the designs, but then this came out and it's just complete turn off. It's so strange. The fans are polarizing, and I guarantee you I'm gonna lose some fans or someone over what I just said. But that's my opinion, and that's the way it sits. My opinion, if it's unclear, because it does seem unclear, I'm completely neutral. I don't care if we have all the Pokemon in it. I'm gonna play the game regardless. I'm gonna do competitive battling regardless. So I'm not going to try to help or hurt either side. I'm just gonna do my best to report the facts and then give my opinion on it. And my opinion could be right or wrong depending on what standpoint you're looking at. And I think that's completely fair to everyone. So I think that'll do it for this video, guys. And I know someone's gonna be mad at me, but it's the way I feel. So I think that'll do it. Dom,